Did you know there's a fish that can climb trees? That's not a myth, it's not science fiction. It's real. Meet the mudskipper. A fish that spends much of its life out of water, hopping across muddy landscapes, climbing mangrove roots, and rewriting the rules of what it means to be a fish. Today, we're going to take a deep dive into the unbelievable world of mudskippers. Stick around because by the end of this video, you'll never look at fish the same way again. And before we get started, make sure to like this video, share it with a friend who loves weird animal facts, and subscribe to Did You Know? For more mind-blowing stories about the hidden side of science and history. Let's start at the basics. Mudskippers belong to the goby family, small fish often found in shallow coastal waters. But mudskippers? They're different. Unlike their strictly aquatic relatives, mudskippers are amphibious. They're found across the coasts of Africa, Asia, and northern Australia, in some of the harshest tidal environments you can imagine. Picture this. The tide goes out, leaving behind vast mudflats that bake in the sun. Most fish would suffocate if trapped here, but not the mudskipper. It thrives. They've evolved a suite of remarkable adaptations to not only survive but dominate in this in-between world where water meets land. And one of their most jaw-dropping tricks? They can climb. Here's the first question. How does a fish even walk? Mudskippers have transformed their pectoral fins into strong, almost limb-like tools. Instead of just paddling through water, these fins let them push against the ground. Combined with their muscular bodies, mudskippers can hop across the mud in jerky but surprisingly effective movements. Think of it as a fish version of a frog hop. But here's where things get even crazier. Those same fins give them the ability to climb. Mudskippers can haul themselves up onto mangrove roots and even low-hanging branches. They don't grip like a monkey but instead push, wriggle, and hop their way upward. This makes them one of the very few fish that can actually leave the water entirely, explore land, and even go vertical. But walking is only half the story, because if you're going to leave the water, you still need to breathe. That's where the mudskipper shows off its second superpower, air breathing. Unlike typical fish that rely exclusively on gills, mudskippers can breathe through their skin and the lining of their mouth and throat. Scientists call this cutaneous respiration. It works as long as their skin stays moist, which is why you'll often see mudskippers rolling around in wet mud, keeping themselves hydrated. But that's not all. Mudskippers also retain a bubble of water in their gill chambers, like a built-in scuba tank. This keeps their gills wet, allowing them to absorb oxygen even when they're hopping across hot, dry mud flats. The result? They can survive out of water for hours at a time. It's like watching evolution happen in real time. Living both in water and on land gives mudskippers a unique lifestyle. On mudflats, they dig burrows, long, winding tunnels in the soft sediment. These burrows aren't just for hiding from predators. They serve as safe spaces during low tide, places to keep their bodies moist, and even nurseries for their eggs. And here's something amazing. Mudskippers build air pockets inside these burrows. They literally engineer their homes to have oxygen chambers, allowing them to breathe when the tide covers everything. That's right, a fish that builds an underwater air bubble in its home. So why do mudskippers climb? It's not for fun, though it does look entertaining to watch. Climbing gives them access to new food sources, like insects crawling on mangrove roots. It also helps them avoid predators. Birds, crabs, and even larger fish would love to make a meal out of a mudskipper. By scampering up roots and branches, they escape danger in ways most fish never could. And then, there's territory. Mudskippers are surprisingly aggressive. Males in particular will stake out patches of mud, fiercely defending them by performing little push-up displays, raising their dorsal fins, and even physically wrestling. Sometimes climbing helps them keep a better watch over their domain. Mudskippers aren't just oddities, they're vital players in their ecosystems. By burrowing into mud, they aerate the soil, making it healthier for mangrove trees. They also help recycle nutrients by eating algae, insects, and detritus, keeping the system balanced. And of course they serve as food for predators, meaning they're a key link in the coastal food web. Take mudskippers out of the equation, and the whole balance of the intertidal ecosystem could collapse. They might be small, but they're ecological engineers. Here's where things get truly fascinating. Mudskippers may actually give us clues about how ancient fish first made the leap to land. Over 350 million years ago, early vertebrates began crawling out of shallow waters onto land, eventually evolving into amphibians, reptiles, mammals, and yes, even us. Scientists believe mudskippers are a living model of what those first steps might have looked like. When you watch a mudskipper hop across a mudflat, you're not just looking at a quirky little fish, you're looking at a glimpse into Earth's deep evolutionary past. They are reminders that the boundary between water and land is not as solid as we think. Of course, mudskippers aren't just serious science subjects, they're also incredibly quirky. Did you know that male mudskippers sometimes jump out of the water just to show off? They leap dramatically into the air to attract mates, or that they'll literally lock jaws in combat during territorial fights. Watching them wrestle looks like fish sumo. They even blink. Unlike most fish, mudskippers have eyelids, allowing them to moisten and clean their eyes on land. It's like they're halfway between fish and lizard. Mudskippers have even wriggled their way into human culture. In parts of Southeast Asia, children play with them like pets, and in some regions they're even considered food. But beyond that, they symbolize resilience, the ability to survive in two worlds at once. For scientists, they're living laboratories. For locals, they're simply part of everyday life in the mangroves. The mudskipper's story is more than just a curiosity, it's a reminder of how adaptable life can be. In a world facing climate change, rising seas and shifting ecosystems, creatures like mudskippers show us that survival often belongs to the flexible, the innovative, the ones willing to hop out of the water and try something new. So next time you think of fish as creatures bound to water, remember the mudskipper, the fish that climbs trees, walks on land, and tells us a story about evolution, survival, and the endless creativity of nature. If you loved this journey into the mudskipper's world, don't forget to hit like, subscribe to Did You Know, and share this video with someone who loves mind-blowing science facts. And let us know in the comments, what surprised you most about the mudskipper? Its climbing skills, its breathing tricks, or maybe the fact that it blinks? Until next time, keep exploring the hidden wonders of our planet.